that one.
Maybe get ice.
Get ice. Tim's getting ice.
Getting ice.
I forgot to announce it
Yep.
earlier today, what we were doing tonight. So bear with us for a minute. Tim's getting ice.
I'm getting ice.
Need fresh ice for this cocktail.
Yep.
Actually, these cocktails. We're doing 2 high-proof cocktails. I saw somebody in one of them.
Cocktails. All right. So.
And fire.
Oh, that's precise. Cool. We got the watch party and everything on?
Yep, everything's here.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing this evening? It is day 21 of Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails. It's been a week, and I was looking today at the dates, and we actually started this on March 15th, and now it's April 15th, so it's been 1 month that we've been here doing these things and having Crazy Cabin Fever and having cocktails for it. So we did some research time because we had a request to look at high proof and barrel strength spirits as cocktail bases. And I had to do a fair bit of research for it because I had never looked into that as a concept before. And there's not a lot out there for that philosophy. So I was looking into it to try to figure out why. So normally this stuff, barrel proof stuff like we have here, is a little more expensive, it's a little bit more rare, sometimes it's allocated. There's some stuff that's not, but even generally overproof, over 100 proof, over 50% alcohol spirits are just, they're a little more rare. And what happens is because your cocktail philosophy is based on balance, and the ethanol character, the booze character can be too strong. Just the whole evolution of the cocktail philosophy has been around 90 proof, 100 proof, that kind of concept. So then when you get into barrel proof, if you don't want it to be too boozy, if you want it to be more balanced and not have so much burn, you wind up either over diluting it or over sugaring it, or you have to bring up another flavor that's incredibly strong, and then you have 2 strong flavors that are competing. It's actually really difficult and you lose a lot of the good character trying to build a traditional cocktail off of a barrel proof spirit. So instead we looked at how do we showcase what's really special about barrel proof but give it cocktail accents. How do we give it some of the cocktail characteristics without going full cocktail with it and losing the specialness? We're basically just going to leave out most of cocktail and just bring in the accents. The first one that we're doing, we're using the Elijah Craig small batch barrel proof. This is the A120. This is 136.6 proof. A lot of really amazing, great flavor. I mean, they reserve special barrels for this kind of a release. Maybe it's a little hot. Maybe you don't want to drink it on ice, but you want to chill it down a little bit. Or cut a little bit of dilution. That makes perfect sense. So we're going to start with that as our concept. So I have some really hard ice that I got out of the freezer. I tried not to get any of the shavings or any of the bits that came out. Honestly, if I had 1 or 2 big pieces, chunks of ice, that would be the ideal. And because this is barrel proof, I'm not going to use 2 ounces. I'm going to use 1.5 ounces because that's plenty of alcohol for 1 cocktail. Obviously, you can have as many as you want because you're at home, just like me. But this is all I'm going to have. And I'm going to shake this. I know shaking is going to introduce potentially a little bit of air, change the viscosity a little bit, but shaking is really what I want to do to get like rapid cooling. Stirring is for a longer period, more interaction with the ice, more integration. So this is going to be much more quick. That's it. That's all I needed. Oh, there we go. Cooled it down even more than I thought. Okay. Now, because this is a Heaven Hill product, the yeast strain that they use gives it some beautiful orange characteristics. So I've chilled my glass. Actually, that's the primary aroma I'm getting off this right now is the orange. I am going to this one strain this into my chilled coupe. See, it did give it a little bit of foaminess and a little bit of texture that way, which is fine. If you were being a purist, you might stir this, but these are crazy cabin fever cocktails. Alright, and now I'm going to enhance that one flavor element, that orange that I was talking about, by giving it a little bit more, just the zest. I don't want to give it any more than this. So I'm going to give this a squeeze right over it, give it a twist. I'm going to do a little rim with it. I'm not going to drop it in there because I don't want it to get overly bitter. You're already at risk of bitterness because it is a high proof bourbon, so you have a lot of tannin structure in there. So I'm going to leave out the zest there. But what I wanted, and because I'm going to bring in some more tannins for the next element, but this is built on rye. This is a traditional or low rye recipe. So I want to accent that with a little bit of freshly grated, although fresh doesn't really matter for this point, grated chocolate over the top. It's going to give it a little texture. It's going to give it a little bit more flavor, and it's going to complement just that chocolate note and the spice character of the bourbon really, really nicely. Oh, and I'm going to do a little garnish on this just for the hell of it. Just because it looks a little plain. So I'm going to give it... I'm just going to do a moon with it, as we call it. I'm going to pull out a quarter moon, give it a little cut in it, and then, you know, drink it sophisticated, barrel proof at home. That's really good. It's not lost any of the character of the bourbon, but I haven't introduced any sweet elements, so it's not so much a traditional cocktail as it is just a way of exploring the character of the barrel strength bourbon there. For the next one, similar concept. This actually has a name. I've heard this somewhere, but I couldn't find it today, which bugged me a little bit. But basically, and this was Hillary's suggestion, we're doing a mint julep without all the fanciness of it. Without the crushed ice. This is going to be a slower drinking cocktail as a result. Normally a mint julep is on crushed ice. It cools very quickly. We talked about this before. You want to drink it very quickly. Barrel proof, you don't drink quickly. You give it some time. So I'm going to start with some fresh hard ice here.
Do you want to explain the term hard ice?
What's that?
Do you want to explain the term hard ice?
Oh, hard ice. Okay, so hard ice. So the ice is hard when it's really, really cold and hasn't had any time to start to melt even a little bit. You'd sometimes call it soft ice. Bartenders have another S word for it that I'm not going to use here. When your ice doesn't have a lot of cold left in it, right? This came out of my freezer, so this is like 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still frozen at 32. But at 32, it's really trying to weep, and it's trying to, it's going to melt really, really fast. I put effectively a hot 70-degree liquid over that. It's just going to melt right out, and I'm going to over dilute. So hard ice is what you always want for every cocktail every time. It just should be what you're working with. When you're not, you're working with soft ice, you're going to tend to over dilute and not chill as fast because there's simply not as much cold there to work with. So that's why I waited to get the ice for this one, because I really, really wanted it to be the hard ice. And I just realized I made a mistake because I was talking and not paying attention to what I was doing. So for the mint julep, normally we would press it inside the julep cup. Here I'm going to take things a little bit differently. Let me find a nice, that's a beautiful little piece. Just like in the other case, I'm going to reserve a little bit. So I'm going to take these 4 leaves and I'm going to put them down in the bottom and I'm going to put the ice over them. And that's it. Just leave it in there like that. I don't want the ice over them because I want them just to get pressed by the ice and not overly crushed. I'm not muddling them. I'm not going to break the cells and break out too much of the tannins. And then I'm going to take my Larceny barrel proof, do the same thing. I'm going to do 1.5 ounces because obviously, again, this is super high proof stuff. So this is a 120 batch. Again, this is 123.2 proof. So got some alcohol on it. All right. So all I have in here is mint and ice and bourbon. And it's not much, again. Okay, I'm done. Just got a little expression of the mint into it, and a slight chill and a very slight dilution onto the barrel strength.
Are you gonna add the syrup? Like tiny bit of
Simple
simple
syrup.
syrup. Tiny bit
I
of
was
simple
going to do it
syrup.
completely dry, but Hillary reminds me, add a little bit of simple syrup in this to make it more like
Not
a
nearly as much you would
wide
normally
syrup.
use.
No, I'm going to use 1/4 of an ounce. It's like the smallest amount that I can do. Smallest amount. That's it. I'll give it another quick shake. Sugar integrates really well. I mean, even with barrel strength, because it's already in solution, it's going to integrate quickly. That's it, I'm done. And now it's actually milled properly. Yeah. So this would be like a semi-dry cocktail because I'm using so little sugar with it. Got a little. I should have used a double strainer on that. I should have used a fine mesh because I've just got a tiny little fleck of mint in there, but that's all right because I'm drinking this at home. And then my little mint sprig. I'm not even going to slap this. I'm just going to see if I can get this to sit on the edge, just like that. That's it. That's all I want. Exploring the flavors of the barrel proof itself, just in a little more gentle format than drinking it neat or over diluting it by drinking it on ice continuously. I've introduced my ice once, my dilution once. I'm done. And that's a nice, long, slow sipping cocktail-ish, very dry cocktail, things like that. So that is our exploration exploration of using barrel-proof spirits in cocktails. Basically, we're saying we're not doing it. We're basically saying we're going to make a variant. This is perfectly dry. This is no sugar, just chilling, straining the bourbon, a little of the orange zest, just to give it the orange oil, that expression, a little chocolate over the top to bounce with the rye and complement the rye, and then over on the wheated side with the larceny, 1/4 ounce of sugar. Don't want any more than that. Don't want to oversweeten it or over dilute it and lose what is unique about the barrel strength, and then a little bit of mint in it just to give it the mint expression, which I think is a great compliment against a wheated bourbon. And then they're both presented neat so that they don't continue to dilute, but the glass was already chilled, so they'll stay cold for a little while. So there you go. So again, we're coming back next week, next Wednesday. We'll be doing this again. And if you have ideas, like this was completely an idea that came in from us. Thank you, Adam, for that idea. Just let us know. We'll explore different avenues, different concepts, different styles. Thank you all for watching. Cheers.